known as kenosis. Kenosis, it means pouring out. It relates to oblation. It relates to libation. It's the emptying, the pouring out, and what our ancestors have done, what the living dead have done, and what our future leaders will do is participate in the pouring out of themselves, because that is how we build community, through sacrificing ourselves. And so as we remember the ancestors, as we remember the living dead, as we project and forecast a bright and brilliant future for those who will come after us, I would like for us to begin with the ancestors. And if there are ancestors that come to mind, those who have done great things that we know about, that we've read about in history, I often like to make the distinction. Many people think that the living dead are ancestors. And there's a dividing line between the two. Ancestors are those that we only heard about, that we've read about, not that we actually experienced or saw, or who lived during our lifetime. Ancestors are those who came before us. The living dead are distinguished by the fact that we knew them, we experienced them. We can still smell what their potato pie smelled like. We still know what it felt like to lay down in their lap and go to sleep and wake up feeling peaceful. Those are the living dead. But the ancestors are those that we heard about, that we read about, who have done great things in our history, who we celebrate. And so I would like for you, as you're called in your spirit, to lift up the names of some ancestors, those who came years before us. Oh, shucks, I'm tripping myself out. Yeah, that's cool, that's cool. I like that. So if you would, begin now to lift the names of ancestors, those who lived years before, who we did not know, but whom impacted our lives because of their pouring out of themselves. Marcus Garvey, Ashe. Harriet Tubman, Ashe. 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 She's living. Ashe. Ashe. Living dead. Ashe. Well, living dead too. Ashe. Ashe. We just gonna do living dead and ancestors. It's too hard. It's too hard to make the distinction, I see. Nat Turner, Ashe. Frederick Douglass, Mary McLeod Bethune, Ashe, Ashe. Ashe. Say the name again, I want to pronounce it. Imari Obedele. Ashe. She's still alive. She's still alive. Let's don't send her to the. She in Cuba, but she's still alive. Afida Shishur, Ashe. Idi Amin Dada, Ashe. Ashe. Dessalines, Ashe. Kwame Nkrumah, Ashe. Stephen Biko, Ashe. I write what I like. Patrice Lumumba, Nelson Mandela, Winnie Mandela. Let's go on and add Desmond Tutu now. Ashe. Muammar Gaddafi. Ashe. Waleed Muhammad. Khalid Muhammad. Jerry Al-Garment. Muhammad Ali. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. All right. So we just, Nat Turner, we got him 3 times. Brother Rick. Black Power. Black power. I say. Because see, what I had to figure out, what I figured out and what I'm learning is, even though I think I know every black ancestor, I think that I know all of the living dead, I don't. What we do when we unify and when we come into the space together, we all bring our knowledge and we all leave more brilliant than we walk through the door. And that's a beautiful thing. And so since we did the living dead and the ancestors together, let us move and remember the yet unborn. I was just in the space over the holy days with family. And there were old folks, but you know what was so strange about it? This was the strangest thing. I was the oldest man in the room, and I was very aware of it. I was very aware that I was but I was watching the children, and I was watching the babies, and I was also watching the unmarried but dating adults. And as they were interacting with each other, the thoughts in my mind were, what will be the fruit of their relationship? What I was doing was thinking about the yet unborn. And that's part of what we do. It's part of how we project our hopes, our wishes, our desires for the future. And so I pour out for not only the ancestors, the living dead, but the yet unborn. And I also like to pour out for those who are present with us, because we are the ones who make the sounds. We make the sounds in the present that connect the ancestors to the yet unborn. The DNA is in us. The blood is in us. And all of the information that will inform our future is coursing through our veins at this very moment. And so I find it to be important for us not to overlook ourselves as we remember our ancestors, the living dead, and the yet unborn. And so I pour out for you and you and you and all of you. Ashe. Amen. And Ashe. Brother Tut, sir, it's on you. So what you gonna do?
I'm gonna slide to the stage real smooth. Like, thank you, African family. Give it up for our drummers again. Give it up for Reverend Slaughter, the beloved community church. Thank you for welcoming us here in the African community in West Side Atlanta. you know where you when you come down here, you know you in the hood. You know what I mean? And the more times you come here, you'll learn that this community is definitely part of this church. This is a real community over here. They love Reverend Slaughter. Folks from across the street and down the way, and all of them. So once again, welcome to Kuji Chagalia, Kwanza. Thank you for coming out and let us feel your energy so we could touch you. They're trying to keep us separated from each other now. So we really appreciate you giving that energy towards us and giving that African spirit of togetherness during this time where we need to do that for each other. So if you could, me and Brother Craig is still working to be sure that we get Dr. J to be able to come in on time. So we're working, and we're also still waiting for Brother John to show up. So y'all give us a little bit more drumming, and we'll come right back and finish the program. Thank you, African family. And what I did, if anybody else needs one, because we're going to do this in unity, I was passing out copies of Lift Every Voice and Sing so that we can scream this to our ancestors into the heavens. Let everyone hear. Anyone else? One, two, three. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high. Sing a song full of the hope that the past has brought us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with the steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our Father sighed. We have come over a way where the tears have been watered. We have come treading a path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out of the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the one wing of our name will friend. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, God who has brought us thus far on the way. Though thou hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places our God where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shallowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our name, till then. Ashe. And now, the Brother Slaughter will come and give us an overview of these principles of Kwanzaa that we are commemorating today's Habari Gani? Habari Gani? And Kuji Chagalia is self-determination. Self-determination is what you need in order to think of yourself of even being a nation. And the greatest right that a human being can have is to determine among their people, their race, that they are a nation. And of course, Marcus Garvey gave us our red, black, and green. And that's the nation that we stand under. That's the black nation. So, Brother Slaughter, Brother Molly Slaughter, y'all give it up for Brother Molly Slaughter. He gonna give us these principles. Hey, bro.
Beautiful black people, how y'all doing?
Beautiful.
First of all, it's an honor to see all you beautiful black people. Glad to have one more Grand Rising. Well, we're here to talk about the Nguza Saba, the principle Kudi Shakalia, self-determination. And I believe that definition is the way we define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. Well, Coochie Chocolate to me, I believe black people, we're at a 50-50 with that thing. Because we black people every day we live Coochie Chocolate. We right, we're in the process of redefining ourselves every day. With our names, we redefine ourselves because we're giving the name of our slave masters. So we thank our ancestors for putting in that extra work, that grinding, that digging. Our historians, our John Henry Clarks, our Chancellor Williams, and people of that, our Dr. Leonard Jeffries, those people who went and dig and got that information to give us back to us. We appreciate that. We're also self-determining, being in the next to the West End District. This is a place of beautiful and black business. We're also not too far away from Auburn Avenue. That's self-determined, that's black business. That was black people stepping out and being self-determined and giving business, putting money in our pockets, employing ourselves. As we did in the Tulsa, as we did in North Carolina, but you see, they always try to get us, but we come back. We're in another self-determining place. This is the beloved Community Church of Atlanta, where black people, where we employ black people, we do black things. We have the Little Zion Annex down there, where black people and black dollars, that has built an institution for us right now. We're getting ready to put people who are on the streets back into a place where we have shelter and so they can get a shower every day, charge their phone. That's self-determined. That's more businesses. Other way we could be self-determined is deciding how our future will go, deciding how we will view the pandemic. This is our enemy right now, telling us how we should live and how we should be. The first doctor, the first medicine. Shout out to Imhotep, the first black man with multi-gene. He was a medicine man. He was a mathematician. And we're taking advice of people who were walking around in caves as we were doing mathematics, doing astronomy. Shout out to the Dogon tribe. So I say this to say this. We're walking in Coochie Chocolate, but we got to believe in it. We've had all these leaders, but we gotta put all of our faith behind them. We're gonna do how we didn't do Marcus Garvey. A lot of us with him, we put millions of dollars behind him, but we gotta put more people. We had a Khalid Muhammad. What we do with him, we could have gave him way more support. He was in Atlanta, right on these grounds. In Georgia, that's where he last did. We got to be self-determining. When we see a black leader with our ideas, we got to be behind that. We have to be self-determining in every facet of our life. And ultimately, that's what, in my view, that's what Coochie Chocolate means to be, being self-determining, first with business, education, and just every facet of your life as black people. Thank you.
I say. Thank you, bro. Coochie Chocolate.
Self-determination.
Coochie Chocolate. Coochie Chocolate.
Self-determination.
For the black nation. For the black nation. Ashe. Ashe. Marcus Garvey gave us these standards, and we forever stand upon them. Unity. Coochie Chocolate. Yep. Ashe. Habarigani. At this time, what I'd like to do is to introduce you to another aspect of African self-determination in our history by bringing you one of my personal elders and queen mothers, and for our community. I'll give you Mama Tamu Kenyama, and she will come and speak to us about the history of the Republic of New Africa and the book she's written for us, 1148 Lewis Street. Give it up for Mama Tamu Kenyama.
Thank you. And greetings, everyone. Habarigani. And thank you to this church, to Reverend Slaughter, to Tut, to UNIA for inviting me. However, I have one small correction. I'm not going to give a history of the Republic of New Africa. I am going to give you a little bit about that, but basically, I'm going to talk about my book. The title of my book is "1148 Lewis Street, A Long Journey." That doesn't tell you very much about what it's going to be about or what it is about. However, if you read the top part, it does say target of the COINTELPRO. So those of us who have a little bit of age on us know what the COINTELPRO is, and that would give you a little bit of insight of what this book might be about. However, the book is really about my life, but it focuses on what happened at 1148 Lewis Street about 50 years ago. So let me back up a bit to my college days. I lived a pretty sheltered life, one would say, and didn't know a whole lot about a lot of things. I met Baba Hekima, and he later introduced me to the Republic of New Africa, and that's where I cut my revolutionary teeth. When he introduced me and I met the brothers and sisters and learned about what these people were about, it just floored me. I was just in awe and just fell in love with the Republic of New Africa. These people were talking about land, self-governing, reparations, all that good stuff. And some of those things I had never entertained the thought and probably hadn't even heard of them. But at any rate, I was very much enthralled and did become active with the Republic of New Africa. And later on in our activities, the Republic of New Africa, of course, believed in land and believed that all the land in America where black people have lived and worked and fought and died, preserving and to stay on that land, is land that belonged to us as a people. But we did not lay claim to all of that land. We laid claim to the 5 states in the Deep South, which included Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. And we believed that, with time and effort, that we would win over this land. And anyway, the struggle went on, and at a point, some of the officials of the RNA moved the headquarters to Jackson, Mississippi. And also, RNA, Republic of North Africa officials believe that even though it's going to take a lot of time to get control of the land that we claim, but that at that time we needed a plot of land to call our own and to set up, our own territory, government territory. So the efforts went into purchasing land. We attempted to purchase land had made a deal with a brother in Mississippi, who, in spite of threats and so forth from the Caucasian community, still made that deal with us to sell his land to us. However, long story short, they ended up getting to him, I gather, because at a point he reneged on the land, on the sale. However, we were still in Mississippi, and when I say we, our government center was still there, the headquarters. So in 1971, and this brings me to my book. In 1971, by that time, Hakeem and I were a couple. We were married, and we had gone to Mississippi. I had just returned from Africa, and just a couple days later, we drove to Mississippi. Greeted very well by our brothers and sisters there. We went on to the location that was designated for Hakeem and I, where we were going to stay, which was also a government center. And when we got there, everything was fine. We had a great time the first night. The second night, we went to bed and woke up to like all hell had broken loose. There was a barrage. Well, first of all, we were given a minute and 15 seconds to wake up out of a somber sleep, to get up, get dressed, and get out of that house. We were not able to answer that call. We were able to get up, but we were not able to get out in that amount of time. So at the end of those 75 seconds, tear gas canisters and bullets just all over the place in that house. Plaster falling, smoke. It was smoke from the tear gas canisters, and which they were so powerful. If you'd gotten hit by one, you'd be gone as well. Well, anyway, the thing is that the reason that they gave for attacking us is that they said that there was a young man who was a citizen of RNA, was wanted on a felony charge, but that person was not there. However, they knew that he wasn't there because they had their spy, their informer. They had planted an informer with us, where Hakeem and I were in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and then he later traveled to Mississippi and was at the government center at some time, but had later been suspended for whatever reason I do not know. Anyway, they knew his whereabouts. They knew his every move because their informer, whose name they called him Snoopy, he was informing them to everything that we did, and then some. What he didn't see and didn't know, he made up. He created and fabricated stories. So I'm saying that so that you'll know that they actually knew that where this young man was. If they really wanted to arrest him, they could have arrested him walking down the street. They could have arrested him when he was traveling to Mississippi. They had any number of chances to arrest him, but chose not. So it's my thinking that they knew that Baba Yakima, who was the first vice president, and Brother Imari Obadele, they knew that or thought that they would be in the same place at the same time, and that would be a good chance to, wipe them out. So they, again, shot the house up, and we, as a group, did not believe in violence, but we did believe in self-preservation, first law of nature. So of course, there was an exchange of gunfire. One of the things that I always say kind of makes me emotional after all those years, that there's a young man who was like only 17 years old at the time, grabbed myself and another sister. There was only 2 sisters in that house and 5 brothers. He grabbed us and took us to safety. There was a hole in a closet floor that the brothers had prepared. He took us down there, and when we got in there and out, or in that hole, there was a deep tunnel that had been provided. And he got us in there and, to safety. And he tried to climb back up in the house to get his rifle. And he slipped and fell, which is what saved my life. I guess my mind was kind of out of it. I saw light, I think, and was struggling trying to get to the light. However, had I gotten to that light, I would not be here today, because that's where the enemy were. Well, when he fell, he grabbed my foot and pulled me back into the tunnel, and then covered me and the other sister with his body. 17 years old. Can you imagine being so disciplined and so dedicated to put your own life at risk to save someone else? Brother Imari always taught the brothers to protect the sisters, although the sisters were quite good at protecting themselves as well. But the brothers had, everyone had a very good military. Yeah. Is it on? I don't think it's. Oh, okay. Thank you. The Minister of Defense, a brother by the name of Elijah Agdebalelo, I think I'm saying it right. Many of you probably remember his daughter, Fulani Suni Ali. He was the Minister of Defense, and he was a great Minister of Defense, and he taught them well. It was quite a struggle for them. They used to tell me a lot of times about how Fulani and Kaina would tell me how I escaped the horrors of their training, because I didn't live in the national territory, so I didn't get that. But anyway, I'm just giving you a little background to tell you how well trained these brothers and sisters were. So anyhow, now I'll go back to where we were when we were in the tunnel. Then the rest of the brothers came down and joined us in the tunnel. The exchange of gunfire continued for a little while. Then it came and saw that they were police officers and FBI, and we were truly outnumbered. So he advised the brothers to let's surrender, and we proceeded to do that. And as we yelled out, stop your shooting, we're coming out. Well, we did. And when we got out, they proceeded, as you would know, to, really harass us and kind of push us around and so on and so forth, and knocking the brothers upside the head with their rifles and things of that nature. These people were prepared for all-out war. They not only had, I think it was 35 officers out there, and we were 7 people. Then they had a Thompson tank. They had snacks. They were willing, they were prepared to be there all day, and as they used to say, on a picnic, to pick a nigga. So, but it didn't quite go that way. It turned out that 3 of their officers were wounded. 1 was fatally wounded. And again, we did not ask for that. We did not want that. Would have avoided it if we could have, but it was unavoidable. And none of us were wounded. So, of course, you know what that did to their minds. So they, as I said, harassed us until the van came, the police van, and then they tear gassed us ordered us to get in the van, and then tear gassed us all the way till we got to the downtown, and then paraded us through the streets with chains. This picture, excuse me a minute. I don't know if you can see it that well, but this is a picture of us in chains marching through downtown Jackson, Mississippi. Very reminiscent of our brothers and sisters from the continent during the slave trade, marching with chains to the auction block. So anyway, we were, of course, incarcerated. We were incarcerated, and finally, the one sister was released. Then, because she was not in the house with us, let me back up a minute. There were 7 of us, as I said, in that house. With the other government center, there were 4 people. And that's the house where Imari was. Well, those people, when they gave them a minute and 15 seconds or whatever to get out, they were able to answer the call because they were already up working. They went out and spoke with the officers and, wanted to know, what do you want? And there was no one there, no warrants for anybody there. There was nothing happened there, just an exchange of conversation. But yet they were arrested and charged with everything that we were charged with. So we became known as the RNA 11. So all of us were incarcerated. Eventually, those individuals in that house were able to get out. Imari, of course, they kept him for, I think, about 5 years. And the sister, there was one sister and 3 brothers, she was able to get out and within months. The other sister who was with us at 1148 Lewis Street was pregnant. So she was able to get out based on the fact that she was pregnant and needed prenatal care. So that left me by myself in terms of, the sisters. So I ended up being there for 10 months. And I was very happy that the other sisters got out, but God, was I lonely. But I survived. And, yeah. So some of you may wonder, how did we get out and walk the streets as quote unquote free men and women? What happened with, and I'm skipping over some things, but Hikema and the other brothers ended up at Parchman Penitentiary, Parchman Farm in Mississippi, and they were there 9 years. Incidentally, Hikema and I were able to have all 3 of our beautiful daughters while he was incarcerated. So that was one thing about Mississippi. When I was telling this to a brother who was trying to help us, he said, well, if I ever go to jail, send me to Parchman. So, but yeah, we were able to have our 3 daughters, and I just made the trips back and forth, and then finally I ended up moving to Mississippi for a while, and that I got pregnant with my last daughter, and I moved back home to have her. So getting back to how they got out, Mississippi was overcrowded, was cited for overcrowdedness, and they had to depopulate. So anybody who had to do time anywhere else were sent to those locations. Well, Hikema and the rest of our brothers had federal time. Hikema and the other brothers I forgot to mention they got life without the possibility of parole. So plus 15 years of federal time. So when the depopulation situation came up, they sent them out just like they did everybody else, which was such a blessing for us because our lawyers jumped on it because they knew that Mississippi had lost jurisdiction when they sent our brothers across state line. So they snatched them back the very next day. My oldest daughter and I were there to visit with them, and we got there, and they told us he was not there anymore, which was a shock to us. But anyway, they had taken him back, and then, as I said, it took, I think, about 3 years of fighting, but they were able to win in court that they had lost their jurisdiction. Well, all of the time that they had spent from the first day, that one day that they spent in here in Georgia at the federal pen, from that date until the date that they were released, all of that time counted as federal time, which meant that they didn't have very long to stay incarcerated when they were taken back after they lost the court battle in Mississippi and sent them back here to the federal pen. They didn't get to stay here that long because their time was up and they were able to be released. So that's pretty much my story. There's a lot more I talked about in the book. I talk about our relationship when we got out, when he got out. Again, as the title says, part of the title says, a long journey. It wasn't all peaches and cream. It wasn't all that I thought it would have been, but as some movie says, but we's here. So that's my story. I don't know if we have time for questions or not. Oh, yes. Well, I have some with me, but also you can go to usliftingus.org and purchase a book. .com, I'm sorry, and purchase a book. We're also on Amazon, but we'd rather you go to Us Lifting Us. Us Lifting Us is a economic corporation that we have for Black people, national and international. So that's my story. Okay.
But you were out of the jurisdiction of Mississippi at a point. Could those things be addressed from a federal level, or were the feds in cahoots so much that there was no way to really examine how they didn't have a book agreement in the house, they started shooting up the house?
Right, but they had a warrant, but for the young man that they claimed to have been looking for. So that was that quote unquote gave them a legal reason. Yeah, it's 1971.
I mean, just tracking the type of justice and injustice that we suffer from different things.
Absolutely. So, okay. Thank you.
All right. We got another question.
It's 1148 Lewis Street, and that's the house that was shot up.
Anyone else? Any more questions?
Yes, Us Lifting Us.
Okay, thank you, Mama Tamu. Thank you again. And now, we're going to get this thing crunk up a little bit. I'm going to bring to the stage now my comrade in propaganda arms in his RBG music. Yes. I give you none other than Son the Great. Give it up for him.
Elders in the room, may I speak? Blessing, peace, power. My name is Son the Great, GR8, the hardcore respondent in respect to Del Jones. Y'all know who Del Jones is, right? Yeah. I do what I do music-wise, what I call muse think. Not just for the entertainment, and if you're entertained, that's great. But this is about the information and about spreading, and I'm just a vessel. So with that said, I love hip-hop music. I don't like where it's going necessarily right now, but it needs a balance. I represent the fifth pillar that brings that balance to what you're hearing right now, and I ain't gonna stop. I call what I do folk hop, fix our living kingdom and heal our people. Go ahead. Yeah, little crowd participation if you don't mind. It's Coochie Jackalia, so if you don't, I will, all right? Listen, folk hop, fix our living kingdom. Don't stop till you heal our people. Folk hop, I come to fix our living kingdom. Don't stop till you heal our people. Folk hop, fix our living kingdom. Now don't stop till you heal our people. Folk hop, fix our living kingdom. Don't stop till you heal our people. They chitter chatter don't matter. Adams ain't even underpaid. Work to death, overachieving. Not quite a slave, but definitely no freedom. A right to liberate, to liberation, all I'm seeing. My how we free them like Thessaline. Imhotep connect to lead them. Out the system that deceived them. In the vision that complete them. We all we ever been needed. Machete ready for the bleeding. Mental heavy, chopping, knocking when I see them. Beyond believing. On the head of the pole like Leopold, I lead them. Go to war for healing people, need receiving. Come on, folk hop, fix our living kingdom. Don't stop till you heal our people. Folk hop, I come to fix our living kingdom. Don't stop till you heal our people. It's folk hop, you fix our living kingdom. Don't stop till you heal our people. Folk hop, that's right, fix our living kingdom. Don't stop till you heal our people. Separate the fake from the greater. See the hate in the hater. Only amused with those with more than paper. Who's not abused by your behavior? You seem confused in your nature. Assume oppressive flavor. I only buy bottles with true original creators. Mama mitochondria, self-cipher savings. The kind who gene really got mean on invaders. And no colonists don't ever do you no favor. You fierce fighting, freedom inviting. I'm frightened and light stay connected to your inner titan. I push protection in direction of the folks decorating cars with Molotov lighting. God's force hand writing. Folk hop, fix our living kingdom. Don't stop till you heal our people. Folk hop, I got to fix our living kingdom. Don't stop till you heal our people. Folk hop, fix our living kingdom. Don't stop till you heal our people. Folk hop, fix our living kingdom. Don't stop till you heal our people. All right, listen, we're gonna let this rock out here. Folk hop, heal our people. Come on. One more. Yeah. That's what that is. All right, we just getting warmed up a little something. This next piece right here, you know what I mean? Listen, that's for the ancestors. I'm just a vessel, you know what I mean? I appreciate, love it. I take that energy, just exchange this back and forth. This particular song is about, you know, Colorado got the maximum security prisons. They got the most. So they become the poster child of this song. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I'm kind of tired of just talking about it, you know what I'm saying? You know, and the propaganda, like the movies, you know what I'm saying? Let's go in there and get them. Let's go in there and get them, you know what I'm saying? So basically that's what this is. This one here is about a little something, passing that on. Can you turn that music up a little bit,
In
bro?
his own words. What? Well,
Yeah.
I still haven't got it. And I don't know where I've gone wrong.
Oh,
Think.
yeah, so you know this, right? So when you hear me say,
Don't second guess the analyst. Think.
Wait. You know where you are?
Yeah, I know. Exchange a nigga program. Outlaw RBG. Willie Kalam. Zulu. Maneuvers. I'm giving black life for crooked lies in need of strength.
Did you have to hit him so hard?
Nah, we ain't holding court. We already caught him holding hate.
I hope you haven't killed him.
It be them judges, lawyers, CEOs, POs. Most work for Satan cause they sick. When they're illuminating, I rip the grip and split the lip and tip it. This is raping. Play me in attention close, so swift with information. It's time to go to Floco, logo of enslaving. I don't care how much it's a locomoto. His invasion, the gunner tongue blazing. On system that's degrading, test pros with demonstration. Break code of assimilation. Hey, you know the call? It's freedom all. If they ain't free, then you ain't free. You know the call? It's freedom all. If we ain't free, then they ain't free. You know the call? It's freedom all. If we ain't free, then we ain't free. You know the call? It's freedom all. If we ain't free, then we ain't free. I'm bringing the seeds of folks who face incarceration. Broken families have no chance in hell of reconciliation. It's them trumped up charges, martyrs my whole nation. In the city, county, federal, several invitations. I revel in a rebel situation with fist of innovation. Drop the water with no water, we escape the smoke clear, disappear in and out. Penetration, POW liberation. Talk along. Wait. I revel in a rebel situation with a fist of innovation. Drop that water with no warning, we escape the smoke clear. Penetration, POW liberation. Talk along.
It's freedom more. If they ain't free, then you ain't free.
No idea how much we appreciate it.
You know the call. It's freedom more. If we ain't free, then they ain't free. You know the call. It's freedom more. If they ain't free, then you ain't free. You know the call. It's freedom more. If we ain't free, then they ain't free. You know the call. It's freedom more. If we ain't free, then we ain't free. You know the call. It's freedom more. If we ain't free, then we ain't free.
Thank you for listening.
Salute. This last one real quick. This last one is a single that's just coming out right now. But in these days and times where we're losing people into back to the cosmos, which is not really a bad thing for, you know what I'm saying, the cosmos, you know what I'm saying? And we miss them, we get that. But we have to stay at a high vibe. The first thing for your health is manifest a high vibe. Don't care what you eat. Don't care what you take. Don't care what you think you're doing. If it's not a high vibe, you on the low end. So you got a high vibe that, and then everything else works in conjunction with that. So for this one, this is called High Vibing. It's on YouTube right now.
LBG forever. I'm a rich professor.
I wish we could turn that music up a little something. I want to feel that. Listen.
All in together, outlaw RBG forever. I'm that rich, righteous professor, motivational vocal expresser. Live that universal law, I give more to the lesser. My soul glow from them self-control. With the universal flow, explode on contenders. Knowledge unload, expose those offenders. Mileage proven show, you should know your defender. Like them deacons with them able reasons, shotgun speaking, bustin' evil, popping off on demons. I'ma say, assalamu alaikum, let loose, street sweeping. We freeing them poor, righteous teaching. This is vintage season, they facing accountability. We We achieving that divinity, receiving what we need and completing tranquility. Cultural identity, ancient validity. Commune for the unity, no self, see wealth, nah, nothing new to me. On my Kwame Ture, usually I'm applying that pressure to oppressor till I'm eulogy. High vibing, we still alive in them times when them sisters and brothers are straight dying, fighting for a piece of the pie in a crooked system line. Fly right, high vibing. High vibing, we still alive in them times when them sisters and brothers are straight dying, fighting for a piece of the pie in a crooked system line. I high vibing. I block the training. I hear the drama from enslavement to my Umi and my Baba and Medulo Oblongata. Yeah, repayment, all you gotta feel the pain for the sake name Sunjata. Hear the cleaning of the karma, claiming them sons and them daughters, feasting off the 400 years of the fears and the slaughter. I'ma turn the tables and the fables like where's my food and water? Reclaiming resources of a true world order. We order bum rush the dough with a black fist full of dough and a list of what they owe before we exit this corruption at the cold. Exodus, interruption from what's in store. So no, they don't plan to ever let us go. I come to take it, any way we get it. It's legal or illegal, long as most high permitted. On my Derek Ray solution for a minute. Entrepreneurship over employment for that pivot. And we win when we never give in to they gimmicks. I'm a God, master impressor, never measure my limit. Tester of the lower vibratory story on an exhibit. I don't entertain the lame when I give it. I shed shame and press oppressor when I live it. Not trying to impress the oppressor when I spit it, huh? High vibing, we still alive in them times when them sisters and brothers are straight dying, fighting for a piece of the pie in a crooked system line. Fly right, high vibing, we still alive in them times when them sisters and brothers are straight dying, fighting for a piece of the pie in a crooked system line. High vibing, high vibing, come on, high vibing, come on, high vibing, come on, high vibing, every high vibing, come on, high vibing, high vibing, stay alive with it. Salute, high vibing, high vibing. Who louder over here? They got you over here. Come on, y'all. Come on, high. Ooh, yeah. Listen, salute, respect. Thank you very much for your time, for your energy. I hope you appreciate, love that. The ancestors speak through us. That's why this propaganda is very important. We need the balance, and that's what we're bringing. You understand? Yeah, I don't even know what happened. I think you're playing it again, but thank you very much. My name is Son the Great. All in together. Outlaw RBG.
GR8. I feel where you at. I feel what you feel earlier. You know what I mean? I'm talking to myself right now. You can reach me at Instagram is STGR8_. My Facebook is Sundiata the Great, a hard correspondent, Brown. Please reach out. My phone number, 470, you know what I'm saying, 546-1677. I'm a personal, yeah, exactly, you know what I mean? I don't even like that Instagram and Facebook, but here's my number. You know what I mean? You need some help, you want me to do something, I'll come do that. That's what I do, I'm here for the people. Thank you, Tut. Salute to my peoples out here. Peace, power, hold it up.
Power. Peace and power. Give it up one time again for Son the Great. That conscious, we need that revolutionary hip hop. You know what I'm talking about? At this point, what I want to do is bring my chief elder of WADU, World African Diaspora Union. And what she's going to do is give you a bit of the history of our organization. Please give it up for my chief elder, Mama Jabina.
Greetings to all. Abaragani. Kujishakalia, self-determination. I'm going to give you a little bit of the history, a synopsis of the history of WADU. Okay, at the turn of the 21st century, Wadu was conceptualized by Baba Alumbe Brath, the late great Pan-African from New York, Dr. Taforiata of ITC in Atlanta, Georgia, also an ancestor, Professor James Small, who was participated with the Organization of Afro-American Unity, founded by Malcolm X in 1964, and several others who helped with starting Wadu at this time. In 2006, was a 3-day conference with wide participation at Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia. I had the pleasure to register all interested persons at this event. Our Atlanta scholar, Asa Hilliard, who has joined our ancestors, was also in attendance. In 2007, Nana Faraika Bahrain of Jamaica West Indies was pivotal in launching a Wadu conference in Mona Heights at the University of the West Indies in Kingston, Jamaica. Barbara Dudley Thompson became the first president of Wadu at that time. In 2010, a delegation to Ethiopia was started. The delegation met in Abuna, where the head of the ancient Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church is located. Baba Watusi Branch was also instrumental for the formation of Wadu. He was the co-founder of the African Poetry Theater, located in Jamaica, Queens, in New York City. 2012, the African Union held a summit in South Africa with the presence of our current president, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, the president of Zimbabwe, the late President Mugabe, president of South Africa at the time, President Jacob Zuma, and Mayor Dinkins, David Dinkins, first black president of New York, now an ancestor, and many others. Finally, the purpose of Wadu is to bring together numerous African black organizations spanning many fields and disciplines. For example, health, economics, politics, culture, religions, and traditional African mores under one umbrella to galvanize their maximum potential for total liberation of Africans globally. Currently, Wadu is on a steadfast journey disseminating our history and culture.
Say thank you, Mama. Okay, we're gonna heat this thing up one more again, all right? Another of my RBG comrades came through, gonna grace the stage for us. I give you none other than my ace, Mike Chambers. Give it up for Mike Chambers.
Greetings. Yes, our elders may I speak. All right. My name is Mike Chambers. I really don't have a lot to say about myself, but I'm here because of hip hop, if that make any sense. And what I mean by that is the hip hop I grew up on was very informative on black culture, Pan-Africanism. I learned about Marcus Garvey, red, black, green, knowledge of self through hip hop. So I choose to use that as a tool to help to teach. It is entertaining, but music is also used for healing. So I just got a few things I want to share with you. The first one is called Blackish, and it's about being black. So, if you run that, please, sir. Try to find
Black
a neutral
woman.
point.
About to black out.
Alright.
All black everything. Black woman, black hips, black kiss, black lips. Afro with a black pick. Love when you talk that blackish. Black man, black fist, black cat, black grip. Backlash on the black list. Still gonna talk that blackish. Black man, black plan, black people, black land. Cash chains, only black hands. Black businesses, black rand. Black banks, black dollars, black schools, black scholars, black doctors, black lawyers, black inventors, black farmers, black salons, black parlors, black designers, black garments, black stage, black performance, black panel, black audience, black mother, black father, black brother, black love, black honor. Be black today, you're gonna be black tomorrow. Black woman, black hips, black kiss, black lips. Afro with a black pick. Love when you talk that blackish. Black man, black fist, black gat with a black grip. Backlash on the black list. Still gonna talk that blackish. Black God, black Jesus, black face, black features, black race, black people, black space, black ether, black leather, black berets, black shotguns, black AKs, black solutions, black answers, black power, black panther, black God, black Jesus, black face, black features, black race, black people, black space, black ether, black leather, black berets, black shotguns, black AKs, black solutions, black answers, black power, black woman, black hips, black kiss, black lips. Afro with a black pick. Love when you talk that blackish. Black man, black fist, black gat, black grip. Backlash on the.
One more time. Oh, it stopped?
Yeah.
To the next time, we will repeat the blackness. But yes, that's
Black
called
woman.
blackish.
About to black out. All black
Bring it to the
everything.
next one.
Black woman, black hips.
All right, but that first verse just repeated. You know, black man, black land. Black businesses, black hands. Cashy chains, only black hands. Black businesses, black rand. Black banks, black dollars. Black schools, black scholars. Black doctors, black lawyers. Black inventors, black farmers. Black salons, black parlors. Black designers, black garments. Black stage, black performance. Black panel, black audience. Black mother, black father. Black love, black honor. You black today, you're gonna be black tomorrow. Blackish. All right. So this next one, is it H? Okay. This is for the brother Imam Jamil Alamin. H-Rap Brown.
Cool cat, black shades, afro crown.
Alright.
Calm and
Free 'em
collected,
all.
speaking that profound.
What he said, what's the
Vanguard,
call?
front line, and won't back down.
So,
Poised and poetic,
alright, listen.
H-Rap Brown.
Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, known as SNCC, formulated in the 60s. The height of civil rights erupted in the city streets. No justice, just fight for the liberty. Arrested for riots, but not before you heard the cry. Violence is American as cherry pie. Serving as minister of justice for the Panther Partnership and abruptness. Organizing against racial attacks. Arms as defense for a nation of blacks. With pamphlets and sacks. And for the voting act. Organized registered voting acts.
Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line, and won't back down. Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line, and won't back down. Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown.
black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line and won't back down. Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line and won't back down. Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown. A decade later, the year is 2K, serving a warrant for failure to appear to his case. Supposedly the deputies leaving his place. He was headed home, they needed face to face. 2 cops shot, one was dead. From the hospital bed, he mumbled and said, Jamil Al-Amin, the gunman alleged. Captured in Alabama on the run, he fled. Still in possession of the murder weapon. Body arm rested for further protection. No alibi, whereabouts, words in question. Charged and convicted, no heard confession. Sentence, life, no parole. 24 hours locked tight in the hole. 20 years later, they hope the fighter is turning old. Light bearers keep fire burning in their soul. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line and won't back down. Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line and won't back down. Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown. Give thanks. All right. So this next one is for a living legend. It's important that we give the ones who laid the foundation their flowers while they still here. You know, so the song I just performed, H-Rap Brown, when I first performed it, Mr. Willie Ricks, aka Mukasa Dada, approached me and he said, hey, I like that song, our H-Rap right hand man. And he went on and he also told me previously that some of my raps reminded him of his speeches from the 60s. And it made me feel good because, as I stated before, they inspired me to be black and to be proud to be black. So I told Mr. Mukasa Dada, I said, you know what? I'm gonna write a song about you. He said, okay, Conrad, just Google me. Excuse me, okay, African. Cause you know he gon'. So I did just that. I came up with this piece in honor of Mr. Mukasa Dada. And it's called Black Power. All right.
Mayor Allen is the killer. Mayor Allen is top gun in Atlanta. And we have got to stop that cracker. We are not going to let these white people come into our neighborhood and kill us.
So, born in Tennessee in 1943 and still exists, a young militant by the name of Willie Ricks. Cornerstone activist in the field with Snick, still active in the field, his building persists, serving life as a civil rights conduit. Nas first for his work with John Lewis, stay organized the movement. Whoa. 60 years later, live on the front line, still looking in the face and racist eyes of one time. A teenager waving picket signs on gun lines. An elder statesman giving wisdom to the young minds. Meredith march against fear in 66. Stokely Carmichael on stage joined by Willie Ricks. That moment upon the wave, that hour. Fist raised, corner phrase, black power. Black power, black power, black power, black power, black power. We want, we want, we want, we want. When I say Mukasa, we want black power. This is Mukasa, actually. Listen now. When I say black, you say Mukasa. When I say power, you say Dada. Black, Mukasa, power, Dada.
Black Mukasa, power dollar. When I say black, you say Mukasa. When I say power, you say dollar. Black Mukasa, power dollar. Black Mukasa, power dollar. Mukasa Dada, let's follow the resume. He gave us black power with Kwame Ture. One day in Mississippi, marching with MLK. King needed the people moved, Mukasa didn't away. Remember the Snick, key instrument, and the deacons of defense. To mention politics, LCFO. Woo. Louds County Freedom Organization offered an alternative for democratic races. The movement for African liberation, engagement on black nations, Cuba, Iraq, Jordan, Nicaragua, Libya, Tanzania, Guinea, and Uganda. Over 100 cities with problems and drama. Built black united fronts with Baba Mukasa. When I say black, you say Mukasa. Hey, when I say black, you say Mukasa. When I say power, you say dollar. Black Mukasa, power dollar. Black Mukasa, power dollar. When I say black, you say Mukasa. When I say power, you say dollar. Black Mukasa, power dollar. Black Mukasa, power dollar. Yeah, we in the presence of a living legend. I give you flowers now while you still can smell them. Just to hear you speak clearly is a blessing. Students take a tea for this history lesson. At 17, you was lacing up your black boots to collect any debt and respect past due. Getting bloody, planting seeds in the grassroots. Getting bloody, you would bleed if you had to. Beaten by police using billy club to bash you. Left to die after gunshots blast you. But you was known to the original African with an attitude. Freedom fighter from a violent era where black areas lived in fright and terror. Whether Atlanta, Gaston, Greenwood, or Selma, to this day your war cry lives forever. Black power, 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 black power. We want black power, we want black power, we want black power, we want black power. Black power, black yes. Black power. Give thanks for the elder, Mukasa Dada. All that you do, have done, and continue to do. Give thanks. And I apologize, I couldn't hear the music too good, so it was kind of throwing me off. My apologies. Thank you.
Give it up one more time for Mike Chambers. Microphone is hot, I can barely hold it. Come behind him and son. This is what I'm talking about. There's some heat on this thing, right? That's just a little preview or a past view of the RBG Music Festival. A lot of conscious artists in Atlanta, them boys be putting their thing down. That's what we need to engage the youth with that bass and that drum and that consciousness in their ear. Habari Gani? Habari Gani? Habari Gani? Today I had the opportunity to speak at the Black Wall Street Marketplace at Stonecrest Mall. And if you haven't visited Black Wall Street Marketplace, you should, because they have recreated the spirit of Tulsa, Oklahoma here in this city with the consciousness of the people who are participating in that project. And we should support them because they're under attack. You know, the mayor and, you know, their independence on that side of town because they've gotten together economically, which Black Wall Street represents, which was an effort from that whole area, the whole city of Atlanta, really. And so if you haven't checked out Black Wall Street Marketplace at Stonecrest Mall, you should do so. Brother Salim was over there, and the drummers playing earlier today also. And also shout out to Mama Nabantu. They will be having Kwanzaa at Wall Street Marketplace every day of Kwanzaa, I believe from 1 to 8. From 1 to 8 p.m. every day. So go over there, check out, buy with our people over there, and celebrate Kwanzaa with the community over at Black Wall Street Marketplace. At this time, hopefully, we're getting our president queued up to come and speak with us, Dr. Leonard Jeffries. And Dr. Jeffries, of course, being, as Mama Jabina explained earlier, the president of WADU. He holds that position. Professor James Small and Nana Faraka Berhane are our co-vice presidents. So, Brother Craig, we ready? Give the drummer some. Yes, and before we bring Dr. Jeffries in, I would like to inform the family that the Sisters of Wadu have prepared food. They prepared it in trays in a sanitary manner. When we're done here, we can go downstairs to the fellowship hall there, and they have trays there. So without further ado, I would like to bring to you the preeminent scholar, our leader as the aspiring community of African peoples. I give you now none other than Dr. Leonard Jeffries. Give it up for Dr. Jeffries. As you'll see him coming on the screens here.
Hotep family, Abaragani. Okay, it's certainly a great pleasure to join the family when they're about serious business, and certainly celebrating Kwanzaa is one of the serious efforts we've made to put African culture at the center of what we do. Even though it may be for a week, it's a week that's very important. I appreciate what everybody has done to contribute so far. It's good to see the young people drumming. It's good to see the spoken word folks present their message. It's good to see the sisters who have this memory. In fact, the memory so deep you could feel the struggle that was going on in reference to our fighting the system of white supremacy. And even though the fight is there, we need more than just fighting the system. We need to replace the system with an African system of deep economic, political, and cultural components. And that's why I have a great respect for Dr. Maulana Karenga, who conceived of the idea of using culture as a weapon in this serious way and tapping into the deep culture of Africanness. And so it's good to see that our organizational connectedness is taking place, because where you have WADU, the World African Diaspora Union, you also have ASCAC, the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilization. And where you have ASCAC, you have AHSA, the African Heritage Studies Association. And there are a whole host of other organizations covering the spectrum of Black folk. Some heavily nationalist, some heavily revolutionary, some heavily grassroots, some focusing on the cultural dimensions, and some focusing on the political and economic dimensions, so that we really appreciate the organizations coming together and carrying out this celebration, which is going around the world. It now has millions of, tens of millions of people. It started in '66 as a local process, but it has expanded worldwide. So you're participating in the drumming, you're participating in the libations, participating in those sacred days that we set aside for special tribute. Is following this African consciousness that's going on. You may have seen my wife, Dr. Rosalind Jeffries Nanak. Nanak Kwekujua Ajiman, that's my African stool name. I've been made a chief in several of the African communities. And her name, as in a stool, Queen Mother, is Nana Abibio. And so she sends her greetings also. And so that it's a family affair. It's a family affair. And so I really appreciate having the opportunity to thank those who hooked up the technology. And Charles, there was a little glass of juice right over there. I appreciate those who have mastered the technology and have allowed us to have reach out into our communities, even though there's illness and viruses and whatnot that are holding us from moving as freely as we usually would. But I'm glad to see that we still are holding those traditions together. First and foremost, I want to thank the ancestors who produced the African global family. And I also want to give reference to thank my own personal ancestors, because without them, I wouldn't be here. And certainly I would not have had the formation, the upbringing of struggle and achievement if it wasn't for the mothers, the grandmothers, and others who made sure that my brother and I had a strong foundation. But we grew up in a community in New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey. And it was more than just a strong foundation for my brother and I. Of the 100 youngsters I grew up with, 90 of us made it big. And we attribute that to the village. Our community was not looked at as poor or looked at as inferior. Our community, those 100 kids that lived on 14th Street, 13th Street, and 12th Street, got the love and respect and got the education and the inspiration necessary to move through the world with power. And so by the time Dr. Maulana Karenga and others came up with these various holidays and these various movements, we've had a chance to participate in them. And so I'm glad to see that that tradition is still being carried on by the collectivity in Atlanta, because Atlanta is part of my roots. My roots go deep on my father's side into Georgia, and on my mother's side into Virginia. And so that more than anything else, Kwanzaa and the celebration around it is not a entertainment. It's really a celebration of us as a collective family, the original family, the family that has to take control of its destiny. Otherwise, it'll be crushed into the ground. That's the system of white supremacy coming at us in various ways. And so Kwanzaa gives us a chance, and the tradition it comes out as a chance to put on our Africanness, put it on outwardly in terms of the African robes, put it on in terms of status, in terms of the crowns, put it on in terms of the jewelry and other significant representations that we are preparing. Put it on culturally with the drumming and whatnot. Put it on in deep culture with the spoken word, different messages. Put it on in reaching out to people who have not been blessed to be a part of this process. And then we have to reach out for those who are lost on the street corners or in the alleyways or in the basements where they're not getting that African process as a part of their nourishment, where they are doing the negative. And so we, as the different organizational components, have to be thankful that we can and have maintained a special relationship, but we have to continually reach out and reach out for people who are out there, but who are now inside. I was in Atlanta many times with that because of that family root I have. And so I remember seeing Rap Brown at the time, was his reference, and he was a free African functioning in the West End of Atlanta. West End was important for me because my family, the Bronners, had one of their hair parlors was on the West End. And West End also was close to the university. So you got Morehouse, Spelman, and now the Morehouse Medical School and the various libraries, like the great library that's Woodruff's Library that services all of those 6 or 7 schools and services other universities that don't have an African collection that they can tap into, so that Woodruff services in a great way the population in Georgia. And I really have a special relationship to the Woodruff because Dr. John Henry Clark, who was born 1 foot in Alabama and 1 foot in Georgia, Union Springs, Alabama. He was born there, and he, as he grew up, the family moved to Columbus. So he straddled that border. But the beautiful thing was that he brought us this understanding of reading and studying Africa, mobilizing organizations that can help carry the African agenda forward. And so Dr. John Henry Clark is a special brother that we have to acknowledge. And then he understood brotherhood and sisterhood. He understood family. In fact, he said the 3 deities that made his life great. 3 women. One was his grandmother, another was his mother, and the third was his 5th grade school teacher, Eveline Taylor. So these 3 women saw the genius in this young Black man, and they nurtured it. And they kept the wounds of segregation and discrimination and pathology, white insanity and pathology, they kept those wounds from him, from wounding him. And he was able to take any blows, any movements, any attacks on him. He was able to take them and in the African tradition, absorb it, and the martial arts tradition, absorb it, and then throw it out against the enemies of your people and yourselves. So I really am glad that I've been a part of this Pan-African process. And we can't be afraid of dealing with Pan-Africanism. Yes, we need all the revolutionary terms that come out of the Black Power movement. It comes out of the Panther struggle. In fact, my nephew, Dr. Hassan Jeffries, born in Brooklyn, but he was educated in Atlanta, and he went to Morehouse. And Dr. Hassan did his PhD at Duke, and he wanted to focus on something African, and he focused on the struggle in Lowndes County. And his PhD was Bloody Lowndes. And I'm very proud of him because I was trying to focus him on the South, focus him on Africa. And when he was 12 years old, he was down in the South. We took a lot of our youngsters there. And at 13, he was with Dr. John Henry Clark, Brother Small's son, Malik, and 140 of us, he went to Africa at 12. And then at 13, we took 1,000 people to make this Africanness real, Pan-Africanness meaningful. We took 1,000 people. We took the mothers, the aunties, we took the wives, etc. My wife and I were proud to be a part of that group that was bearing witness that we were claiming our heritage. And Professor Small and his children and other people were there, and he was one of the big supports. And since he had a root that came out of South Carolina, and he was part of the migration into the North, and at that point, he became attached to the family of El-Haj Malik El-Shabazz Malcolm X. And so, and he also had a chance to go to the Holy Land, sacred for African peoples would be the Nile, but other people have claimed their holy lands. So the Christians have Jerusalem, and Jewish folks have the Palestine, and then Muslims have Mecca. But the whole of the Nile Valley and its various great tributes, the Blue Nile, the White Nile, the Athabara, the whole network of rivers is a part of the great African legacy from which great cultures, civilization arose. So have a ball, if you will. Enjoy yourself. This is supposed to be serious celebration and joy for the children, sharing gifts. But for us, old folks, in a few days, January 19th, I'll have my I'm heading toward my 90th birthday. I'll have my 85th birthday. And so I've been fortunate to have a wonderful wife. All these years, she was the first to go to Africa. She went in 1960. I went 61. She has a deep understanding of African culture and Afro-American culture, and the culture that is carried specifically by our women as we build our great pyramids and great cultures to educate our people and take them out of the deep hole that they've forced us into, that hole of self-hate, the hole of not wanting to be African, the hole of wanting to be something other than African. And so luckily, with brothers like Dr. Karanga and some of his associates, which would include Malefi Asante and partners he worked with, which would include Jacob Carruthers, as well as myself and Brother Asa and the sisters. The beautiful thing is having that complementarity, male and female, working for us. And so the symbol of what Kwanza as a process represents and our struggle represents, we have right here, and this says it all. And this is one of the most important images. Whoever controls the images controls the self-esteem, the self-respect, and the self-development. So we have to make sure that we have Kwanza celebrations and make it a part of our life, and not just focus on the week at the end of the year, the beginning of the new year, but make sure that we have the Kwanzaa celebration as we socialize our people into Africanness. Socialization, how you get your beliefs, your role models, your patterns of behavior, and then how you tap into these powerful images. This is in Senegal, the closest point to the New World African in South America, the Caribbean, and Central America. And this association of Africans in the diaspora scattered throughout the world and their motherland, the continent of Africa, is something that we have to cultivate. And so Kwanzaa is not just lighting the candles and having the symbolic activities, but it is designed to instill in you and yours and those around you and those you wish to bring into the light. It is designed to help us make our way through the darkness of ignorance and the darkness of white brainwashing and come into the light of being the chosen. We are the chosen. Well, Dr. Jeffries, how can you say that? Everybody else was chosen except African peoples. African peoples don't have any chosenness. Well, that's the beauty of the explosion of knowledge that has occurred. And even in these last week or two, they had an explosion of knowledge in terms of the truth at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. My mother, the mother principal that Rosalind represents, she worked at the Metropolitan Museum of Art and used her talents there. She worked at the Brooklyn Museum. She's worked at many of the leading museums using her talent and making sure that that mother principle is manifest. And so she has been able to see the work that involves putting the largest societies' cultural contributions together, but making sure that it's not a male-dominated thing. It's not. It's a balance and a harmony between the male principle and the female principle. And because the female brings forth life, nurtures life, sustains life, the female principle has a central role in our culture. And so this that you have before you is the rise of the Black family. And there's the Black man rising, holding on to his rock, the Black female. And together they are raising up the young child. And that young child is being raised up and pointing to the future. And he's pointing to the Western world, meaning the Africans in the West and the unity between the Africans in the West and the Africans on the continent. And this monument is the tallest of its kind, and it has the great works of our scholars is in the monument. Thousands of students go there for clarity in terms of the truth. And so we have a chance to continue the great work. And I just want to leave you with this work that Dr. Malefi Asante worked hard on. My wife aided him in the contribution and has a fantastic story of our traditions. And it's a textbook that this textbook and textbook like it should be in our homes so that we can put this knowledge before our people. So brothers and sisters, I've been trained to be a professor, trained to be an African researcher, scholar. I have my PhD in African studies and my master's in African studies. And so this knowledge, this great awakening is a part of me. And so I'll have to come back and give one of the lectures in Georgia, probably in the next month or two, because we have February Black History Month. And when we come back from Africa, that'll give us a chance to report on what happened when we took hundreds of our people to Africa to continue this process that we refer to as Pan-Africanism or perish. Either you tap into a Pan-African understanding of struggle and greatness, otherwise you'll shrivel up on the vine, you'll be misdirected. But if you have the Dr. Clarks and the Dr. Benz and the Dr. Francis Cresswells and Dr. Barbara Sizemore and my wonderful wife, Dr. Rosin Jeffries, and if you have us, the brotherhood that we formed of African light, you're on your way. You can't lose with the stuff we use. And you all didn't know I was a frustrated, not only a baseball player, but a saxophone player, but also putting the spoken word out there all around the world. When I take my message, I always start off with some Jeffrey's spoken word. It takes you into a consciousness of relating to the young people when you can relate to what is exciting for them culturally. So, brothers and sisters, continue this celebration, continue to embrace the young people, continue to embrace the not so young, continue to take care of the elders. And then we'll remember, as Frederick Douglass said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess the figure of freedom yet deprecate agitation are men and women who want the crops without plowing up the ground. They want the rain without the thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of its many waters. And one of the most important crops is to put the knowledge in the reach of the whole family. Clinton's wife used to take an African saying and said, it takes a village to raise a child. Now, the deep African understanding of that phraseology, it takes a whole village to raise a child. And so the Kwanza activity is a part of making sure that whole village is a part of the process. So I want to thank you, Madase P, for inviting me to be a part of this process. Everybody's doing a wonderful job, and you can continue the success. And if there's some difficulties, work it out. If there's some problems, some conflicts, don't let that hold you back, because we are people on the move, and it doesn't make any difference whether you're UNIA or whether you're ASCAC or just an ordinary African person looking for a route to the sacred knowledge. We have to be about helping each other. I'm passing the torch on to those of you who have put this a wonderful activity, serious activity together. Okay, Madasi.
get higher. So, you ready? Harambe, 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 Harambe. Thank you, African family. Yeah. If y'all can, help us to, the brothers, help us back here in this corner here. Put the chairs, stack the chairs back up, please. Appreciate. Yes, sir. Yes. Mm-hmm. Get hard. Okay, I'm finna go. I gotta collect these things. On your way out, feel free to visit the vendors, check out the wares, support the community. And thank you once again, Reverend Slaughter. Yes. Stay hydrated. Okay. Excuse me, my bad. Good to see you again. Oh, that's what we've been needing, some feminine energy up here on these drums.